Hello and welcome back to Imagination Mansion, and in today's video I decided that I would talk about how I plan my stories. Now, when I was younger, I think I did what most kids do when they're writing a story, which is just write it and just keep going until you either run out of steam, or in my usual case, something else, another idea, completely different, takes over, and I switch on to writing that instead. And it's lather, rinse and repeat. And so back at my parents' house, I have so many notebooks filled with half-written ideas that I am saving because they were pretty good ideas, so I do want to do something with them. But obviously, it's not a very sustainable way to write, because you do just run out of steam if you just keep going. At least for me, I had the problem of, I'd get to a point where I'd get almost to like the boring bit of the story, which I think, okay, not the boring bit, but like the bit where not that much happens and you're like working on the build up to the next big thing or whatever, which I think is important in a book. But child me got very bored of, because I wouldn't mind reading that bit, but I got very bored of writing that bit. And yeah, I just ditch it and my brain would go, this is more interesting, start working on this one, and just like punt it in front of me. And idea A went in a drawer as I started writing idea B, which then went in a drawer as I started writing idea C, and so on and so forth. But obviously, if I wanted to, get published one day, or since I, did creative writing at uni, wanted to pass my degree, I'd have to get good at planning, and I'd have to actually plan something concisely in a way that I could actually work with. Because when I first went to uni, the way that I used to plan, to start off, I did what I thought was the logical thing to do, which was write down as many details as possible that I could in, like chronological order, from beginning to end, so I knew what was happening when, and I didn't miss any details out. And then I just had to, transcribe it. I just had to, change it into a novel. I just had to change it into prose. That didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Once I planned to that degree of accuracy, I guess my brain just went, well, you finished. I'm like, clearly I haven't, it's still in bullet point form, and it's like, no, but you have all the details down. It's finished. You will not be able to concentrate on this anymore. And I'm just like, but I need to, this is for an assessment. So I had to scrap that idea and try and think of a new way to plan. The way that I plan now is a way that's actually better for me, and I don't know if anyone else has the problems that I have of like detailed plans just making it impossible to write the thing. But I have found that making vaguer bullet points that are further apart in time kind of works for me, because that means that there's still space in between for me to fill in the gaps. So I still have to do the work, so there's still something for my brain to take interest in, there's still something to concentrate on. And for me, I think the only time I go into detail in my notes, before I write like the first draft and stuff, if, it's a specific moment where if I get that bit wrong, like if I fill in the gaps wrong, the bit later on won't make sense. And then characters. I kind of go ham on my character notes, because for me, my characters are usually my favourite part of the story. And like the stuff that happens, and obviously, and the settings and stuff like that, they're all important. And obviously for quite a lot of people the plot is the most important part. But for me, just like the characters, I give them a lot of attention, and they tend to, even if the story idea doesn't stay, the characters tend to stay. So I make a ton of notes on those, and I, you know, make little outlines and stuff. So to keep my ideas brief, or to at least separate them and kind of muddle them about enough so that I still have thinking room, I guess, I put all my story notes into one notebook, because this keeps me on my toes. And the notebook that I use is this one. It's a Genzio, I think it's called. Yeah, the Genzio notebook from Paperchase. And I showed this in my notebook collection video that I did. And as you can see, as I showed in that, I have a lot of story ideas in my head at once. Like, these are all floating around in there. And I think that's why I've always struggled to pin an idea down that I want to write about, because there's so many and I love them all so much. So it was just a case of like which one stayed around the longest that I could quickly like start working on. Because I found that starting to write the story while planning the rest of it kind of kept my interest there and made it easier for me to keep on topic, I guess. So yeah, so this is my like stories as an ideas notebook, and I have like different sections for different characters and different story ideas, and it's just a mishmash of stuff. And usually for me, I like to keep, you know, like I think I've said this before, I like to keep one topic per notebook because otherwise I get confused. But in this case, the confusion works in my favour because it keeps me on my toes, it keeps me interested, it means that I have to keep thinking. And yeah, so in a succinct summary, though detailed notes might work for some people, they don't work for me. I don't, unless it's really short fiction, writing it all in one go doesn't work for me either. But having higgledy-piggledy notes all over the place and really vague bullet points is the way that I go forward, apparently. Now, I don't know if this would be helpful to anyone, because I'm sure like a lot of people just sort of, you know, do timelines or sticky notes or whatever, or I've seen, I think I saw in someone's dorm room once who was taking a similar course to me, they just had like one of those like mind map things on the wall, you know, like almost like you see in like detective documentaries where they've got all the lines going to different places and different characters and stuff. And I was like, but I guess I just wanted to highlight in this video that everyone plans different. Everyone figures out their way of planning, because I don't think every idea will work for everyone. Because I know that my way of planning would confuse the heck out of so many people. They'd be like, well, how do you find your notes? And I'm like, I just flick through and it keeps it interesting. Whereas, yeah, some other people, you know, might do very visual planning, and other people might do very detailed planning because that's what they need. So it's very much a personal thing, I think. And obviously, read tips and tricks if you're struggling and to kind of find all the different ways that are out there. But honestly, I find it such a personal and specific thing. And it can change from story to story. Like, you might find that one story is really complicated, so you have to, you know, do all the little detailed sticky notes and the mind maps, and then there might be other ones where just as good, but you don't need to go into as much detail on each point, and you're quite content to just have vague bullet points because you like a little bit more creative leeway with actually writing your draft. So that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, because I do make videos quite regularly, usually post on a Saturday. And yeah, if you have anything else you want me to cover, if you have any topics to do with writing, reading, creativity, imagination, all of that shebang, you know, let me know down below. I'm always up for seeing other ideas of what I can do. I haven't gotten into the publication stuff yet because I'm not there yet. Because like I said in I think the last video, I've been struggling to edit recently, so I'm not quite at a place where I feel comfortable sending it out to anyone yet. But as soon as I have gotten on that train, I will let you know. Right, on that note, bye bye.